My name is Malcolm Taylor. I'm the Library Director of the English Folk Dance and Song Society. The full English. The idea behind it was to make available on a single web portal all the major manuscript collections relating to English folk song and dance. We have a lot of these in Cecil Sharp House, the headquarters of the English Folk Dance and Song Society, but there are others scattered around the country. So what we wanted to do was to get them all digitised and onto a single portal, catalogue all the images so that they were searchable. And then we would use that great well of information to create educational materials to work in schools all over the country. In terms of TownsWeb, it was to do with the digitisation of mainly the manuscript collections that were housed in Cecil Sharp House. These manuscript collections were originated in the years up to the beginning of the First World War. Before the First World War, really at the turn of the century, the 20th century, there was what they call a folk revival, the first major folk revival. What we're doing with the full English, by giving people access to all these wonderful manuscripts, is to let people get as close as to the original point of collection that you can possibly get before the advent of sound. With the advent of the internet, librarians, archivists all realised immediately the possibilities that it afforded us. In other words, of increasing access to our materials. Sometimes libraries and archives are very intimidating places for ordinary people to go in. Once you put things on the internet, for example the census that went up online, people weren't going to go to the National Record Office, but they would look online. And you immediately increase your possible clientele by doing that. What we wanted to do, what I wanted to do, was to get this stuff that had been noted down in places all over the countries, in sort of very rural areas, from the rural working classes, give it back in some way to the areas where it was generated. By doing it this way, you're breaking down a lot of barriers. And that was the idea of really giving this music, folk music, which in a way belongs to the folk, giving it back to the folk. I went to a seminar I think it was about designation at the MLA, the Museums, Libraries and Archives Council. And whilst I was there were various presentations, and one of them was by the Post Office Museum. And I looked up some of these libraries, and a lot of them were like, record offices and what have you, the British Library. But this one had got lots of digital images up there, and they'd been digitised by TownsWeb. So when we got the grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund to do the full English, it was my mission to try and find someone to do digitisation. And of course I asked TownsWeb because they had a track record. And the people from TownsWeb who came to see me were just very understanding and very helpful, and they guided me through the process of what was needed and what was possible and the alternatives. And subsequently, during the process and now after the process, their customer care is still there. They're still. So I was just very impressed in terms of their whole support of what we were doing. It felt as if they were kind of part of the team.